Welcome back to the Dave Gold Evolve podcast, where industry leaders in the spiritual dating and business world help you truly evolve your life. Now welcome to your host, Dave Gold.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Dave Gold Evolve podcast. Just a quick shout out to our sponsor at the Self-Love Army. Go to findselflove.com for an eye-opening experience. Now, our guest today is someone that is really interesting and falls in line with a lot of things that I do and that I'm passionate about. Her name is Donna Marie, and she's a Tantra and yoga teacher that helps other yoga teachers, well-being healers, and practitioners with their personal brands. Does it get any better than that? So thank you so much for coming on and having a discussion with me, Donna.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to having this conversation about something I'm very passionate about. So looking forward to this. Should be good.
Beautiful. So something that I know you speak about is how you are your personal brand, and your brand and your photos tell a story. So I want to know, what's your story? How did you get into personal branding, and where did it all start?
I guess it all started when I started my holistic journey of health, because I've come through a very I've not always been in this positive state of mind. I've had a bit of a back in my 20s. I was hit rock bottom. I didn't know where to go with my life. I didn't really have much of a purpose. I was always an artist at college, and I was creative to my heart's content, and I loved it, and I just inspired me to be arty. And I think I took a lot of my my issues out through my work, and I didn't really realize later on until more later in my life that, you know, I was a creative and that was my passion. I got onto this journey of holistic therapy, and I started my business 8 years ago, helping people to heal inside out, helping people to basically get their life back on track. And I set my business up with a huge leap of faith of not really knowing what to do. And I just followed my heart. I followed my inner guidance, and I basically just set up my business, and I branded myself multiple times with different names, and it never really actually fitted with just me being me. So I was very successful with that, and over the years it's developed into branding and into tantra and yoga and helping those professionals. And I've kind of gone full circle with going back to the creative stuff and guiding people to find their purpose. But it's basically just gone full circle, and I've learned so much along the way about how you are your brand, and that's why I very much just say to people, just use your name, because that is you. At the end of the day, people buy from people who they like, know, and trust, and they have got to know that they're working with you, not just a pretty logo, or not just a brand they don't even know. So it's really about you, and it's about your story and being authentic, because if you're not authentic, then no one's gonna want to work with you. You've got to walk your talk and strut your stuff. So that's it in the short term, really.
So if we're going to piggyback off that, I know that a few of the guests that I've had on this podcast have voiced their opinions of authenticity. And authenticity is kind of like a buzzword that can be thrown around in a lot of different situations. And I'm wondering, what does authenticity mean to you? How do you define authentic expression in 2020?
Authentic expression is about dropping your inhibitions and just being you, and not being afraid of what other people will say, letting go of your own self-judgment, letting go of external judgment, and just basically speaking your voice, speaking your true self, walking your true path of existence, why you're here, why you do what you do, not being afraid to voice your opinion about things. And just, you might lose people along the way, but actually you're going to gain a load of followers who really love you for speaking your voice and just being honest. And it comes down to being truthful. And that's not just with your work, that's about how you show up in life, how you show up in your business, how you show up with what you do. and not being afraid to show yourself fully for who you are. So it's letting go of the limitations of the mind and letting go of what we think is right and wrong, letting go of labels, all of that, and just being truthful to what feels right for you and inspiring people from that place of honesty.
I love it. And I had a similar kind of awakening where there are parts of me that feel like I've suppressed creativity and expression to music and other outlets where I didn't dive deep enough into them, and there's a bit of regret. And so when I finally decided to get a camera and started taking pictures, I said, all right, I can't waste this opportunity. I really need to just go down this journey and see where it leads, because I started to realize the power of the photo. All right, that people wanted to see me along my journey. And I remember growing up, and my mom would try to take my picture, and I'd be like, don't take my picture. I don't want that. And it's the same thing. I see it in some of the guys that I shoot with. I'll get them out on a photo shoot, and they'll be like, oh, this is so weird. Like, it's so, I'm so not used to like people taking my picture. But I think you and I can probably relate when you start to help others to take down those walls and tell them, just be natural. I'll get you in your best light. You just be natural.
Yeah.
And the pictures, they come out and it really talks to people. And it's not these like pictures that are like too fake or too overly edited. All right. They're pictures that people can really relate to. And then when you go and you try to brand yourself, whether it's for business or dating purposes, people are like, oh, that guy's interesting, or that girl looks really good. Like, I really want to get to know them, because it doesn't seem fake. It seems real. And authentic photography is about being who you are, but not only just who you are, it's about who you are in your best light. You know, let's bring out the best in you, and let's find that unique and creative sense so you can start to release all that anxiety that goes along with posting.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, what do you tell your clients when they come to you and they go, I'm really scared to post this picture right now?
So feel the fear and do it anyway, and just do it, right? Because you're never going to get over that fear unless you fully embody that fear. Don't repress it. Don't ignore it. Don't push it away, because it will just come back full throttle. You're supposed to feel that fear and do it anyway. That's the whole growth aspect. When you feel the fear and you just fully feel it, that's when you get over your your restrictions, your limitations that you put on yourself. We only put these on ourselves. So I really just say, look, I've done it. I've been there multiple times, and I'm constantly an advocate for stepping outside the comfort zone. I love it. I think it's an addiction in a way, but a healthy addiction. And you'll just find that when you keep doing that over and over, you just become unstoppable. That's where you're going to find your true confidence. It's not about how you look, it's how you feel.
Did you have an experience this year where there was a post or a photo that you felt like it was very vulnerable for you to post it online?
Absolutely. My photographer, I have to shout out to him, Julian North of Gander Photography. We've been doing some really deep work with my body image over this year. And it's something that I've always just been really scared of and wanting to run away from. And I put a picture out a couple of weeks ago of my hands, because I was born with shorter fingers, and it's something that I've hated my whole life. I've been bullied for it. It was the cause of my depression and my anxiety. So me putting that out was huge. But I put it out and I got so many comments, and I got so many engagement. I've even put it forward to be published in a magazine because I'm so proud. And yes, it scared the hell out of me, but I did it. So.
And it's usually those stories that stand out to us the most.
Yes.
And we see it in real time as well. that the people who are sometimes the most scared to publish that photo get the most engagement. All right. They have it has the biggest effect on their life, where they really see how much people love them and how much people care about them. And we're just waiting for that moment for them to express themselves and update them on how they're doing in their life, where they're going, where their journey has taken them. And with that being said, I'm at this place in my life where it's a constant struggle of you get to a certain place and then you need to surrender more. You get to a certain place and then you need to accept and surrender more. And I know that you've talked about it a lot. So what does surrender mean to you, Donna?
Surrender is letting go of control. It's not about handing over control, it's letting go of control. It's about having enough power that you can fully just let yourself go in that moment. And it's getting out of your head and getting into your heart and just feeling present. It's that presence. And it really allowing yourself to embody that presence from within. Not worrying about the fact that there's a camera right in front of you, not worrying about if there's lights around you flashing away. Just go with it and flow with it. Yes, it's scary, but you'll never learn if you don't do that. So for me, letting go is just taking off this material existence, all this stuff that goes on in our head, and just doing it, just going with it. If it feels right, do it. It takes a lot of courage to do that, to surrender. But when you fully let go, that's when life happens. That's when everything just falls into place. We don't need to force. We don't need to push. We need to just actually let go. Doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're just not always having to be active all the time. You actually get a lot out of surrendering to the process. Trust. Definitely.
I liked what you said about it feels right. And I know a lot of people, especially men, don't know how to feel.
No.
And they don't accept their feelings.
No.
They don't know how to look inside to their heart and feel inside and oh wait, that's what's going on. Maybe I should listen to it. Maybe I should trust it. Usually women are a little bit better at this, but not always. That's not always the case either. And it's something that I've seen as a big struggle for a lot of guys, especially the ones that are trying to break out of a very technical way of thinking of like picking up women or making a lot of money. And it's like they're not actually in that heart conscious feeling centered place. So you're very into yoga and meditation and you work a lot with men. So do you think that there is a connection there that men need to embrace their spiritual side and especially the journey through yoga, through spirituality, through breathing in order to feel within their heart center and start to find their purpose and their path?
Yeah, I do. I think I'm a mirror a lot of the time. I'm holding up the mirror of what they need to see in themselves. So it's like I literally could be holding a physical mirror. This is what you need to see. Do you truly see yourself, like inside out, how others see you? Because they get so in their head, so embodied in their head, because of this masculine energy all the time. There's nothing wrong with that, but when they're so in their head, they're not getting into their heart. They're not allowing themselves that time to really get into their heart. So when I'm there, it's almost like I act as a mirror to channel through them what they need to see in themselves. And then that's when they truly connect. It takes time, and they can be quite resistant because if they're set in their ways and they're hardwired to be a certain way and think a certain way and be a certain way, it takes a lot longer for men to drop their guards and to just let it all go. But yeah, absolutely. It's about holding that mirror up, having that synergy as well. It really comes down to connection. I'm not going to be able to connect with every guy that ever walks through my door or every woman that ever walks through my door. But I hope that I encourage people to feel that they can be who they want to be or be themselves, because that's what I've always been, that's what I'm here to do. So it's just really comes down to trust and connection a lot of the time, and feeling safe, to be honest, And for men, it's like seen as a weakness to go on a spiritual path sometimes, or to get into their heart, and might appear to them as weak, but actually no, it's huge strength. It means you're awakening your creative power, you're awakening your full potential, and that's when things flow. So yeah, I think I'm definitely like the mirror for these people.
Do you think that hurts them sometimes when you say that to them, that, I'm just showing you a mirror for what you are and what you're failing to see?
Not always, because a lot of people see it from a place of higher perspective of like, actually, it might take them time because it scares them to go on that path, but actually they understand, and it takes them a lot longer like to go on that path than what a woman might. It doesn't really matter if you're a man or a woman, but no, I think it actually empowers them. Like, I'm not here to disempower anyone, I'm here to empower them, inspire them to empower themselves and to discover who they are, like why they're even here, what they're doing. And yeah, it's scary. That's the only thing. It come across quite scary because it means taking a step out of what they know into what they don't know. It's a huge leap of faith.
Sometimes though, I feel like to empower someone, you need to help them to let go of the facade that they're putting up. And there are certain cultures, especially because I was traveling around the world. I was in 17 cities in 14 months last year when it was a lot easier to travel. And in certain cultures, it seems very natural for people to hold on to this facade, this image. And sometimes it's just who they think they are, or this identity, of themselves, which it actually is what is holding them back from true fulfillment and peace in their life and being aligned with their purpose. So when someone comes to you and like, you get a sense that they're hiding something, or they're having this resistance to surrender or let go, and they need to find their true brand identity, what kind of steps do they need to take to get there?
So the first step is really to get clarity, like crystal clarity. Like, why are they having this conversation with me? Why are they here? And like getting them to ask themselves, and that's the coaching aspect. Because I'm a consultant as well, but I don't give everyone the answers. I'm coaching them to find their own inner truth. So I will say to them, why are we having this conversation? What are you struggling with? What is your challenge? And then it's just a simple click of that switch that goes on in their head, and they go, right, this is my issue. This is my problem. This is what I'm having issues with. Yeah. And then we move on to the next step, and it's like, right, okay, well, how do you think we can change that then? Because they could quite easily be following someone else's strategy, but that's someone else's strategy. I think we all have our own strategies. We're all unique in this journey. We have our own strategy. It's about finding your own strategy. So I can consult with you and give you some clarity on how to find your purpose, but you've got to find what makes you, like what ignites you from within, a fire. Like, what is your passion?
Yeah, what sparks you?
Yeah, what sparks you?
Lights a little fire under your ass and gets you going.
It's like someone switched the flame on. Like, that's what we've got to find. And that's covered deep, deep, deep. So sometimes that can take a little while. And so it's getting crystal clear on like what's holding you back. So that's really coaching them through that process. What's holding you back? And then it's getting them visible, getting them out there. Mm-hmm. Like, who do you want to work with? Because a lot of the time, these brands or yoga teachers or people I'm working with, they're often marketing themselves to the completely wrong people. or to the completely wrong audience, because they think that's what should be done, because they're following a strategy that someone else has done rather than following their own inner intuition. So for me, it's about getting them to use their inner wisdom. So it brings in that yoga aspect of, right, let's get your intuition, let's use this because it's truth, it's right. You can never go wrong when you follow that.
Or marketing themselves to everyone rather than niching
Yeah.
down to a specific group of people that they would really connect with.
Yeah.
And there would be more synergy and more alignment in the practice when they all come together into that room. Because, for example, right now, I run a mastermind.
Yeah.
And with this mastermind, I need to be very selective about the people that I let in, and especially the people that stay in the mastermind each week. All right. Maybe if there's one guy or two guys that come in once in a while just to check it out, that's not going to completely throw it off. But if those guys stay in and they're not aligned with the other guys, and everyone's not feeling the opportunity and the safe space to open up vulnerably and to really let their guard down, well, then it's going to throw off the energy. And that could be said in any relationship, in a business relationship, in a sexual relationship, even in, a relationship with the person that you're doing pictures with. If they don't feel like they can let their guard down when they go and take photos with you, you're going to see it on the wrinkles in their face and the way that they look into the camera to the left or to the
Yo guys, quick break from the podcast to give a shout out to our two sponsors. First, go to Self Love Army on Facebook for a truly eye-opening experience. And then go to Real Life Vibes with a Z on Instagram or YouTube to awaken your subconscious mind. Now back to the episode.
The right of it.
Yeah.
And with that being said, you talked about, I want to jump into this for a second, sexual energy creating our brand. And I think this one, people seem to neglect this point and how important it is to find that sexual energy, whether it's submissiveness or dominance, okay, whether it's your feminine that needs to be brought out or your masculine that needs to be brought out. So what embodies a sexual energy to empower and create a unique brand?
Basically, it's finding what lights you up, not what just lights you up, what breakthroughs you give your clients. So what inspires you to do what you do and why you do what you do. Because if you don't know that, then you're not following anything. So you've got to find this inner spark. Are you being too forceful with marketing too much and pushing yourself too far? Because actually that's going to push people away. Whereas if you're being a bit more surrendered, a bit more in your feminine, then you will learn so much more, and actually you will start to attract. And it's all comes down to energy, and it all comes down to the emotions that you give off with your brand, and that comes down to your sexual energy. Because everything, every idea, every piece of inspiration that you have is governed within your sexual energy. That's what creates life. So a lot of the time that's blocked, or it's just not moving as it should. And that's when we get stagnated. So, and that's when we start procrastinating and second guessing ourselves, and we're not in flow, and everything just we just want to give up. So to find that spark, we have to actually be present with our body. Always comes down to presence with ourselves. That's when we can actually listen to our inner guidance and use that energy as a magnetic pull. And it's really just learning about the pseudoscience. Don't have to go too deep into detail about that. It really is more about just learning about how your body works, how the energy you're giving off. Is it attractive? Not physically, but do you like people up when you go into a room, or do people just want to go out the room? It's the same thing. It's the same thing with your brand colors, the style you have, the photos that you put up, the words that you write, everything about your brand, your photos. Do they look tense? Do they look fake? It's not going to send off the right energy. So sexual energy is so important when it comes to branding. It really is. It's what governs your whole branding yourself for success. That's really fulfillment. So, yeah.
Where did you learn more about sexual energy and Tantra? And is there any book or course or videos that you would recommend that guys look at if they wanted to get into learning about how their sexual energy can embody their brand?
Yeah, so I first started on a couple of workshops in London. To be fair, I went on a couple of Tantra days and did a course in Tantra, and it was, again, completely outside of my comfort zone. You know, there's people I didn't even know in the room, but I was like, just go, try these exercises. Yeah, it's a little bit weird and uncomfortable, but actually the ripple effect of that is what got me here today and what I'm doing right now. So there are workshops, obviously. I do tantric workshops and education online. And there are plenty of books. I can't think off the top of my head with a book, but more it's about doing your own research. Like, just start to look up like tantric edging and tantric, like even like BDSM and like literally stuff like that, because that's like all to do with edging and taking yourself to your limits, and how much can you push a little bit more, and there's so much to it. I mean, yoga is the way to start if you're a beginner. To start learning about your mind and body, the coherence between mind, body, and heart. You'll learn so much about your body and how it works, energy. Start to research the sacral chakra. For men, start to research, you know, how powerful the tantra aspects of yourself are. There's so much to learn, but start with yoga first. Start with breath work. Start learning about the beginning of where tantra comes from, and then you will start to get on a journey of learning a bit more. But start with yoga first. It's the philosophy, really. It's not about how pretty you look in a yoga pose. It's actually embodying the philosophy of yoga, and then you will learn a bit more about how to let go with tantra and how to flow, and your sensuality and your sexuality and your desires. You know, you're tuning into that, things like that. So much to learn.
I'm reading autobiography of a yogi right now.
Oh, great.
And learning about Kriya Yoga for the first time. Because when I started, I was really young, like a few yoga classes, and then I was doing CrossFit and a lot of heavy masculine pressure on my body. And then I started to feel the aches and the pains and a lot of tension in my wrists and joints. So then I dove deep into doing yoga more frequently. And what I noticed was when I would have an interaction with like a girl or like a woman, and I would be more present, I would be more in the moment and more calm, rather than like forcing the interaction or giving off this like nervous energy from the flow that was being generated. I was usually doing vinyasa or yin yoga. Ashtanga was like a little bit fast for me. But what kind of yoga do you teach, and why do you teach that or recommend that type of yoga?
So I teach yin because it's just my baby and I love it. It gets you to slow right down. So when you slow right down, you're not actually forcing anything. It's the complete opposite of what you would do in a normal fast-paced vinyasa style practice. But it gives your body time to actually digest and process all your thoughts, everything you're thinking. And it gets you to become aware of all these thoughts that keep going over and over in your head. And if any of you are aware what you think you create in your life. So if you're thinking constant thoughts that are just like not growing you as a person, then it's just emotional garbage that is just blocking you from actually creating your life that you deserve. So what yin yoga does is it really just allows you to clear away all that emotional jargon, all that emotional bondage, because that's what it is. And it gets you to become free and liberated from all of that. And then that's when you actually start to feel present in your body and you start to feel again. You start to unblock what's holding you back. And it's great for awakening your sexual energy, especially when we do like hip work. It's amazing. And it will really open you up. As your body opens up, your life opens up. So I love teaching yin because it's a surrendering practice. There is nothing to do in yin yoga but surrender. And it's challenging mentally more than it is physical, because the physical, you're just letting go. You don't have to do that much. You just have to let your body hold itself in a pose, and then you let gravity do the work for you. Whereas in normal yoga practice, you're forcing and you're actually building strength, and then you're doing. Whereas yin is like the non-doing of yoga.
The being.
The non-doing.
The being.
The being. Yeah, beingness.
Yeah, we had a great mastermind call. Little shout out to my Dave Gold Evolve Mastermind, and Harris, who we had on the podcast, led us through a guided meditation on being. And I see that, these aspects are kind of missing. I mean, maybe they're just like higher levels of consciousness, but if you look at like certain examples, like Conor McGregor, for example, he's just like really tough guy, beating people up, but then he's doing movement with Ido Portal, an Israeli trader. All right, so he's balancing out the masculine, the feminine, the tough fighting, and then the flow. And you see it as well with some big football and basketball players. I think LeBron James, probably, he does his yoga as well. But then when you get down into the mainstream, a lot of like more like mainstream guys are like, no, like I just need to go to the gym, take my weight gainer, all right, watch my sports. And if they would learn how to balance that out, they would have a lot more opportunities to connect with women on a deeper level, all right, and to connect as well with their clients. I see when I can kind of tell when some guys reach out to me on like Facebook, and it's like a very structured approach, and it turns me off. It really
like what we're doing, like quite weird.
What do you do? Like how am I going to get you on a call? Like, oh, it's very structured rather than let's flow, let's get to know each other, let's see where this energy is at, and see whether we can actually benefit each other. And yin yoga is not easy for anyone that hears this podcast and is going to go and try it. You think like, oh, it's super slow at first, and then you hold like the downward dog for 5 minutes and you're like, what? When's the next pose? Like, no, this is the next pose. This is it.
Yeah.
You need to surrender to this pose if you really want to feel into it, which is really amazing. So what is your mission right now? What is your purpose in your life?
My purpose in my life at the moment is just to educate more people on the power of Tantra and sexuality, and the power of like fulfilling your desires, letting go like the shame we have in our head about having desires, letting go of shame about fantasies, and like living our dream life as well, like in our relationships and inside our business. Because there's a lot of people that I speak to just they get caught up on the how. Like, how is this going to happen? How? And I'm like, well, that needs to stop, because if you keep asking yourself that question of how, you're never going to break through it. You're never going to get to where you need to be. So for me, it's to keep inspiring, empowering men. Really, really want to help men so much, because I love working with men. They're challenged. For me, I love it because they are harder. I wouldn't say they're harder work. They've been hardwired, like everything we've spoken about. Not all men, a lot of women are like this as well. But I find it is so much more of a challenge to take a photo of men, to take photos of men, to help men brand themselves, to help men follow their hearts, because there is so much guidance out there for women. There's so much female empowerment, so much female coaches empowering women. There seems to be like a bit of a drop back on helping men right now. So for me, it's really about inspiring men to live their dream life, live their dream relationships, their ideal partnerships, and just really get them out of their head and into their body. That's what I'm on a mission to achieve, helping them get really visible with what they do, be authentic themselves, and just live and do what they love and breathe doing what they love. So that's my mission. So it's a big mission.
It's a beautiful mission. I think there's no shortage of men that are trying to help other men make a lot of money or get laid all the time. All right. You see that all over the place, but actually helping them to elevate to a higher level of consciousness and to find balance in their life. So to create healthier relationships with not only other people, but also with themselves is something that a lot of men are reluctant to embrace. They just say, oh, I can do that on my own. I don't need that kind of help. So when they can surrender and put their trust in someone that actually has their best interests at heart, I see tremendous growth in guys, that are young, that are college students, army soldiers, and even guys that are in their 30s and 40s and have been through difficult relationships or a divorce. Okay. And they haven't had a guide or a mentor or a coach or someone that will give them that love and support that they need. And they're feeling trauma, they're feeling pain, they're feeling resistance in a lot of areas of their life. And, because of that, I feel really empowered by the work that I do. I'm sure you feel the same about the work that you do. And it's not easy. It's not easy. There's a lot of forces that come into the mix that make it difficult for men to take on this work. But when they do, it is really beneficial in their life. So I'm wondering if you wanted to, we're getting to the end of the interview. I wanted to see if you wanted to lead us through a short 5-minute breathing exercise, because I know you do a lot of breath work. So just kind of a sample of the work that you do, which if men are still listening, they could benefit from this few minutes of deep breath.
Sure. Cool. So we'll do like a little heart meditation, and I think so. Just close your eyes, and I just want you to place your right hand onto your heart and your left hand onto the hara, which is just above the genital area at the front of your body. So just placing the left hand there and the right hand to your heart. And I just want you to close your eyes, just draw the shoulders down, and just notice, just without any judgment, how much tension you're holding. And see if you can just gently release and surrender, relaxing, grounding your feet into the earth, just relaxing your tummy, and just notice how tense and tight it feels around your heart. And does it feel heavy? And you imagine you're drawing breath into your heart to open up and expand, releasing, letting go of the tension, the tightness that we just don't need. If you can imagine the opposite of that feeling and how that would feel. Freedom, space, expansion. So just breathing in through the nose and then just draw that breath down into your heart. Just connecting with truth. What is truthful to you right now? And what are you resisting? What are you not letting go of? Just asking your heart these questions. And just keep breathing in through the nose. Draw that breath fully down into your belly. Expand your belly. Nice and big. Expand, expand. And as you exhale, just sigh all out. And just feel the energy shifting through the body. And again, breathing in through the nose. Expand your belly nice and big and large. Releasing. I'm just asking your heart, if you could follow your truth, and how much better would your life be? If you followed your truth, how much better would my life be? And just take a few moments just to notice any feedback from your body, any messages, any guidance. And just taking this opportunity to let go of anything that doesn't serve you anymore. Emotions, past, future, expectations. Just letting go of any expectations. Let go of outcomes. You don't need to have outcomes. Letting go of any hows and whys and whens. And just really embody and trust. Truth and presence instead. Nice, just try and keep this present breath going throughout your day. Anytime you just feel like you need to slow down, start to really listen to your body, listen to your body's needs more. Just take this breath. Just take 1 minute every day of stillness. And just slowly come out. Just open your eyes. Lovely, and just draw the arms up over the head. Nice, stretch the energy up. Breathe in, expand. And just exhale, just draw your hands to your heart. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, I'm sure if there are any men that were listening to that, they probably got an amazing gift in their day. And if they want to explore this kind of work more with you, how can they find you?
So you can find me on my website, www.donnamarie.co.uk. I'm also on Instagram, Donna Marie Photo Design, and you can find me on Facebook as well. So I will look forward to having conversations with anyone that just wants to find a bit more connection in their life. Just reach out, don't be afraid, just take that jump. There's a no judgment zone here.
Beautiful. Well, Donna, I really appreciate you taking the time and coming on the podcast today.
Thank you.
I look forward to connecting with you more.
Thank you for your time and your space as well. All the best.
Amazing. See you guys on the next episode. Peace.
Because I want you to be whole of everything that